Right, greetings everybody and welcome to what will probably be the last of the need to talk about winter unit stuff. Today we're going to be just evaluating all of the old winter units and whether or not I think that they are remotely worth your resources. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. I have taken a look at all of these characters and I do want to say some good things and give some credit to some of the improvements that have happened. Like, if you add these characters, they're free upgrades. You might as well do them, kind of thing, providing that you have the character at 99. But with these winter units, it's weird. Like, looking historically, I can think of only a couple that have kind of held their value quite well, and others that have not handled them quite well. So let's take a look and see if there's any possibility that a character, in my opinion, could be brought back into the meta with these upgrades. Starting off with Xmas Ramada. So she has basically up damage by 30 through resistance penetration. She has hate reduction of 5 and physical damage of 20% increase when her HP is over 70%. An interesting design for a character like this. Ramada has always essentially felt like glass cannon-y. She can get a high amount of attack and potentially do some damage, but she gets hit, she's dead. And her HP, you look at it like compared to what modern units have, it feels almost comical how not correct it is. So hate reduction is probably one of the most interesting things. You could still get caught in an AoE and die. Water is not doing the physical thing right now. It's doing the Exia thing with a combination of earth or some other element. Ramada is one of the more interesting design changes that they've made by essentially doing a hate down on an offensive character and a glass cannon-y character, and I do kind of like it. Do I think it'll work? Probably not. Like, any strong AoE right now will essentially kill her, and the bigger question is accuracy with the number of evade teams that are out there. If you're looking at that, PvP wise, no. Quest wise, sure, why not? She also got a limit burst upgrade, AP consumption down, and puts a barrier to completely prevent damage to self. So if she can get in close, fire off her limit burst, which is, if I remember correctly, an AI priority, well then maybe you can actually dish out some damage. Ramada is kind of interesting, and actually, personally, I mean, I do have her, but putting the resources into her, probably not going to pay off. But this is one of the characters on the list that I have to say I like what they did. It's not just a stat boost. I mean, it is a stat boost, but at least they did something kind of different with like the leftover parts of a buffalo. Like they tried to use every part of the buffalo here, because they gave other stuff to other characters. So Ramada, interesting. Trust mastery, no, not worth it. I think we already said that. Macherie, pulling this character, I mean, if before this update I would have said no, and after this character update I probably also say no. But what she got, 15% speed increase, physical damage plus 10% when her HP is above 50. Gives an effect of reducing magic damage further the distance, so the squall style effect, which has never felt that impressive. The enemy just moves closer and still whacks you over the head and you lose a bit. Horizontal jump is still jump after a certain time and destroys the barrier that reduces physical damage. This is a character to me that is absolutely no. Old style dragoons, we don't even see new style dragoons like Oberon. Dragoons have been so kind of forgotten about that this is an absolute no for me on every facet. I just don't think so at all for any reason. Next up, Vinera, who got a basically damage up and damage reduction. Damage reduction is 30% that's removed after 3 attacks hit her. That's kind of interesting. Like, I honestly think that she's quite interesting, and I think her Trust Mastery, I mean, it's a stretch to say that this would be really that good, but it is a move increase and a 70% accurate, or 70 up for accuracy. Given the amount some of the evade teams, granting for evade teams, I honestly think this could potentially be quite interesting. As an angle, is it worth pulling? No. If you got this somehow, well, I guess that would be kind of cool. Also, the music just disappears sometimes randomly. Next up, Winter Viktora. This is a character that out of most, I mean, except for the newest one, kind of the one that I've actually seen randomly a few times this year. Because water range, why not? Viktora basically got luck of 20%, critical damage of 15, damage, resistance, penetration, and move -1. None of her other abilities improved. So her DPS isn't really going to go that much. I mean, unless you get critical hits. It stacks a bit, and that extra luck is kind of nice. This is one I think a little more positively about. I honestly, like, the move -1 is a pretty modern thing, but I feel like they didn't do quite enough for her to be super competitive. There are better range characters out there, and her name is Yuna. Moving on. Luartha. HP up 30%, defense penetration up of 15, critical damage of 10, debuff resistance of 15. Her shooting attack resistance and hit rate increase for allies is now up to 4 turns. Gets re-raise from that ability now and grants the effect of increasing damage while re-raise is active. Increases the number or users' piercing attack power for 4 turns as well. It's a nice ability. It's a nice, generally actually a pretty nice upgrade. This is one of the ones that feels probably a little bit better overall. I just don't think that Wind is really looking for this. Yes, Fly Glassy is still quite used. Does she need a partner? Not necessarily. And I think there are just way better Wind characters. This doesn't quite do enough, but it is one of the better ones in terms of like a modernization of characters. Like Winter Viktora just doesn't feel like some of her other abilities have been upgraded enough. Like Xmas Macherie is just like time jumps still. Yuck. This just doesn't appeal. This appeals to me much more, but not enough to really get anywhere. Xmas Raviesse, one of my favorite designed winter characters thus far, and yeah, I always get confused. I think I have this character and I never do. Accuracy of 15, resistance, attack resistance, penetration rate up by 20, and encouragement for resistance, increases single target attack resistance, fierce resistance of all allies for 4 turns, creates a barrier around self that reduces physical damage 4 times, and reduces the target's defense penetration rate, single target attack resistance penetration rate when one of Raviesse's attacks hits. It's honestly okay, that accuracy. I don't know, is 15 really that much? Doesn't seem like it. Not with what Evade is trying to do right now. Better Ice characters I don't think this is what Ice wants. And I don't think this will make Raviesse. This feels okay, but I don't know. Nothing speaks to me here about being that interesting. And Xmas Raph, the only character on our winter list who got 2 upgrades. First, you got attack resistance penetration rate of 20 and physical damage reduction of 10. magic attack resistance penetration rate of 20, single target attack resistance of 20, and increased confusion activation. This character was good last year and actually did pretty well on Lightning for a while. Obviously this year is a little bit different. Earth characters are better. Earth characters are in a lot of teams, not necessarily the best teams, but for cost limited, yeah, I could see this character, an argument for this character. This is the only character that I particularly think has any legs to stand on in terms of really, really worth spending resources when we have new characters and a new collaboration coming in the future. If you got this off of a 10 pull or free tickets or anything that's included with this event, I honestly wouldn't be that sad, and maybe it would be even worth kind of, you know, slow building just for funsies in the future, because Raph has kind of held on the best out of all of the characters. But yeah, it always comes down to, is it worth your resources? Here, definitely not. And let's really quickly talk about, I just want to talk about Xmas VCs for a minute. Xmas VCs, yeah, they're tempting. For JP players, this is still a difference between, I think, JP and Global. Because, if I remember correctly, Global does have these access to these all year, like they are in the actual regular pool. JP, they are not. So for JP players, this is a little bit more rough of an event, and will continue to be more of a rough event because that seems to be the game direction. As for the Christmas event, I would like to remind people, just as a friendly reminder at this time of year, that you should be farming this from the raid. I would say that the raid, from what I tested in the multi, is actually fairly difficult. I don't even remember if it's been that difficult in the past, but don't bring a mage, bring physical. That seems to do better. And yeah, it's strike, so but picking up this year, we have the Snow Moogle Brooch to go with the Winter Tonberry doll and the Moogle plushie, 30k a piece. The Snow Moogle Brooch, I do believe, is new. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Dexterity, defense, attack, HP, and critical evade. Kind of neat. We also have these Winter Xmas tickets. I would recommend picking up those, of course, because free gifts. And here, the Antler, which is always nice to have. But yeah, that is my video about these old winter units. Like I said at the start of the video, there really isn't much here that's that interesting, and I do think that this kind of speaks to how the winter units last. Most of the time it feels like they don't last that well or that long, just until the snow starts melting, and in most of Japan, it doesn't last very long. So thanks so much for watching, supporting the channel. See you later.